Welcome to another edition of the Joint Venture Show. Lil Wayne, Craig Carton. Our guest on today's episode is the man solely responsible for SpongeBob SquarePants. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin K joins us today.
It was originally called Sponge Boy.
Sponge Boy.
Sponge Boy. And we couldn't clear it.
Welcome to another edition of the Joint Venture Show. Lil Wayne, as always, Craig Carton. Great to have you guys joining us today. I'm not sure how big a cartoon guy you are. Are you a cartoon guy?
When I was younger.
When you were younger?
Yeah.
Growing up, did you have a go-to cartoon? Like, are you old enough to be like a Tom and Jerry guy?
I was actually going to say Tom and Jerry.
Come on.
No, I really was.
Were you?
I was going to say Tom and Jerry, yeah.
So I have a list here.
Okay.
All right. So it goes like this. What are the top 5 cartoons to watch when you're stoned on the couch and there's no sports on TV? That's the setup for this, okay?
Okay.
So Tom and Jerry is on the list.
Okay.
All right. You want to take a shot at the other 4 that made the top? And this is not according to me. This is according to like the cartoon experts of the world. The 5 greatest cartoons of all time, specifically to watch while stoned on the couch.
Okay. I specifically that didn't.
Yes.
I probably know another one or two.
Okay.
Probably like SpongeBob.
SpongeBob SquarePants is on the list. Yes,
Yeah.
top 5.
Yeah.
Number 3, I'll give you a hint. It was a crime-fighting group led by a stoned dog. Oh?
Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo! That's right. And Shaggy and the lesbian Thelma
I don't know what this meant.
and others. That's number 3. Number 4 is a family that's never aged in 30 years.
The Munsters or something?
Not the Monsters, not enough.
Oh, I don't know that one.
The boy has blonde, spiky hair and always gets into trouble. The Simpsons.
They never aged? Are you
They've
just
never
saying
aged.
that because they never actually aged? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought that was like a part of the cartoon.
No. So they're always, Bart, I think, is always like 12.
You're right. You're right. That was very interesting. They never aged.
It's always the same. That was the problem with like non-animation stuff. Like the Brady Bunch got older,
Yeah, they did.
right? At some point they got older. And then one of them became a porn star.
Go ahead, which is good.
Sorry about that. And the last one, I've never seen it, believe it or not, Family Guy is considered a top 5 all-time cartoon.
Never seen it, but I know exactly what it is.
Yeah. Do you remember like the Hanna-Barbera stuff, like
Yeah.
Ricochet Rabbit?
I don't know about Ricochet Rabbit, but I know what Hanna-Barbera is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ricochet Rabbit was just like rabbit on coke.
Okay.
And bing, 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 Ricochet. And then he used
No.
to say, Ricochet Rabbit.
No,
Because he used to bounce off
Never
the wall-
even heard of
off the
that
walls.
in my life.
The reason I bring it up is that our guest on today's episode is the man solely responsible for SpongeBob SquarePants
Wow.
being on TV.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin K joins us today
Hey.
on the Joint Venture. There he is.
How you doing?
Well, he has lost weight since I last saw him. KK, how are you? One more K, we're in trouble. Yeah, good.
I gotta tell everybody before they come on and show, don't feed into too much.
I know him pretty
I
well.
know, I heard.
He hired me twice,
I heard.
by the way. It's how
I
we
did.
met. Well, it's good to see you, pal.
It's great to see you.
Yeah,
It's great to
and
be here with you.
yes. Did you guys ever talk to Wayne about doing stuff on Spike? Or?
We should have.
Yeah,
For sure.
Dropped the ball on that one.
What happened to the
Crazy.
Flintstones? Why did the
Flintstones did not make the list.
Wow.
Sorry about that. They
Crazy.
probably should have.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of the Flintstones,
Yes, sir.
were you more of a Wilma guy or a Betty guy?
Betty.
Yeah. By the way, didn't even think twice. He had that answer ready to go. I think Betty was probably more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Don't you think? Wilma was kind of like, I don't know, like pulper ass kind of thing. Like, not tonight, Betty was ready to rock.
He said, not tonight.
Yeah.
And Pebbles was pretty smart too, if I may. Yeah. We used to have a thing, you know this. Like, what cartoon woman would you, if you could, hook up with a cartoon? I always said Jessica Rabbit,
Okay.
but did you ever contemplate
Jessica
that?
Rabbit is a great choice.
Great one, right?
Yeah, I would go with that.
Yeah, that's the
For
easy
sure.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carmen Sandiego.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? That was your girl? Cartoon girl? Wow. I didn't see that one coming, but you clearly thought about it.
Psychopath.
From a previous episode, we learned that Wayne might be a psychopath. It's certainly possible. Well, Kevin, you have this crazy career arc. you actually are old enough to have been on the first season or employed by Saturday Night Live in their very first season, which for a lot of people is the greatest cast of all time. Walk us through how you got that job before we get to the SpongeBob stuff.
Sure. I started out on TV when I was like 16, working on a bunch of game shows and stuff. And, I was in college and Saturday Night Live started. But the first show that I worked on called Saturday Night Live was Saturday Night Live with Howard Cosell.
Okay.
Yeah. And Saturday Night was not called, it was called NBC's Saturday Night because ABC owned the title Saturday Night Live. So that's why the first year of Saturday Night Live was called NBC's Saturday Night.
I never even heard that before.
Yeah. And until Howard got canceled, which he well deserved. So I was on the Howard Cosell show for the first 3 or 4 episodes. Howard and I didn't get along really well. I was the cue card guy.
Shocking.
He did not want to read cue cards whatsoever under any circumstances. Howard just wanted to be Howard. He wanted to talk. He didn't take any cues. And back in those days, you needed a 5-second roll cue in order to roll a piece of tape, right? So Howard wouldn't do it. He wouldn't read the cue cards. He wouldn't do anything. And then he'd just say, he'd end whatever he was going to do and throw to something, and nothing would happen for 5 seconds. And then he'd just yell at everybody. Like, furious. He'd yell at everybody.
Right.
And I had the cue cards and I was holding them up and I was pointing at him, but he wouldn't even look at me.
And are these like huge cue cards?
No, they were like this size.
So big,
yeah,
though.
big.
Not
Yeah.
the size of this.
And I was standing under the camera and I was pointing at the cards and he just wouldn't read them because Howard was Howard and he did his thing. And, after about 4 or 5 weeks, I just realized, like, there's no point for me to be here anymore. And Saturday Night Live had started, or NBC's Saturday Night had started. So that was it. I quit. He said he fired me. Whatever happened. And I left. And then I got a call to go work on Saturday Night Live, or what was then.
What became Saturday Night
What
Live.
became Saturday Night
As
Live.
the cue card guy?
As the cue card guy.
I didn't know that was a job description. Like,
Yeah,
we're the cue card guy. Nobody can go like this.
Yeah.
No, Kevin K can. Call him up.
There were 3 of us, actually.
3 cue card guys?
Yeah, because, if I'm
need a
talking to
backup cue card
if I'm
guy?
talking to you, you
On
need
the-
cue cards back
on the
there.
set, right?
Yeah. You need to see the cue cards behind me. I need to see the cue cards behind you. And then there's got to be one out there where the camera is so that, I don't always look at you. Which I love looking at you, Craig.
Nobody loves looking at it. People like it. Nobody loves it. Wayne's already tired of me. He's like,
But the first episode I worked on was the Richard Pryor episode.
Wow.
Yeah, which was unbelievable. And that's the one that had Chevy Chase and Richard doing the honky.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They famously did not like each other. Right. The story goes that Richard Pryor either didn't find Chevy Chase funny or whatever the case may be, but there's stories after
they were
that.
not.
They did not like
Yeah,
one
they
another.
didn't like each other. For
So
sure.
people have told me that back in the day, that first couple years of SNL, like the only way to get a story greenlit would be to sit in a room and do a bunch of blow with the writers, or they didn't trust you or want to hear what you had to say. So you were there.
Yeah.
Are those stories accurate?
I'd say they're fairly accurate.
See? I don't make everything up, Wayne.
See.
Some of the stuff is real. I do my
I see.
research, right?
There was a lot of stuff going on.
There was.
Yes. I think Michael O'Donoghue, who is one of the funniest writers I've ever been around, used to say, like, everybody on the show is f***ing everybody else. The writers are the writers, and the this is f***ing that, and the stagehands are f***ing the stagehands.
Made for a
I
great
hope
show.
not.
Made for a
Made for
good
a
show.
great show.
They worked it out somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Were you there when they finally became successful?
Yeah, I was there for the first 5 years.
5 full years there.
The 5 full years that Lorne was on the show before he left, I was there for those first 5 years, which was an unbelievable experience.
Was Chevy Chase as hard to work with as people say?
Yeah.
How about Belushi?
Unbelievably fun, and unfortunately,
Right, like many people.
he
say so.
had good days and bad days, and it depended on the drugs, honestly.
Got
But
it.
he was I loved John Belushi, and he was wonderful to me. And
He
used
was good to the
yeah,
people around.
he was really good to everybody. And on a bad day, he wasn't as nice as he was on a good day. And Danny Aykroyd was just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your entire life.
He was, huh?
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
really great guy.
Did you watch SNL
I did.
as a kid growing up?
Yeah, my grandmother made me watch.
Your grandma.
Grandmother made you watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she loved Belushi.
She loved Belushi,
Mhm.
yeah. I loved Belushi. I loved Gilda. I actually love that whole cast. That original
And the
cast.
Richard Pryor, I've probably seen that episode. That was one of her favorites.
Yeah, like you couldn't do it today.
Yeah.
It's like one of those
No,
things
you
you
could
could get
not.
away with it
Of
back
course,
then.
Yeah.
If you did it today, everybody gets fired.
I don't know though, Craig, because when you say today, it's different. And that they kind of going back out there today.
That's true too.
Yeah.
I know we give like the cancel culture,
Yeah.
but you can do things and not get canceled.
Exactly.
Maybe we've come full circle.
Have you seen Saturday Night Live recently?
Yeah, but they ain't doing that. I can
No,
tell you
they're
that.
definitely not doing that.
You performed on SNL a bunch of times.
For the, actually, that for the anniversary. I performed for the anniversary.
You were there for the 50th anniversary.
Mhm.
What's it like as a performer doing SNL?
First of all, it's a privilege and it's an honor. So, so the main thing, you just don't want to mess up. You want to make sure it's one of your best performances ever. So I was more focused on the first time I ever did. I was more focused on the performance. Then got a chance to be involved in one of the skits and all that. Then once you get a chance to do that, obviously you're not even worrying about your performance no more. You focused on that. You want to get that right. But as soon as I got there, every person that laid their eyes on me, you could tell that they were just trying to make me feel super comfortable. Everybody joked with me. And so by the time I got on, I was having fun. And,
you were?
Yeah. And also, when I did it, Pete Davis was on it.
Okay.
He was there, and he had just broke up with Ariana Grande. She just broke up with him.
Right.
And so I had to write a rap for him about that. And so, it was real fun. Yeah.
That's funny. So it's funny for someone who's lived his whole life on the stage.
Yeah.
When you now get into a skit, your belly starts going a little bit, right? Because you don't want to mess it up.
And I can say the reason for that is not because it's a skit and not because I'm used to performing or doing music. It's because it's Saturday Night Live. That's why.
Because if you do mess up, you can't get, hey, let's do a retake.
You don't want to mess up because it's Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Well, did you ever ask them, hey, put me in a skit? Or
Not at all. Actually, when I was told that I'd be a part of a skit, I was like, I had to make sure. I was like, you sure? You sure they want me to be a part of that? And once I found out it was true, I was beyond happy.
How was the cue card guy?
It was cool because he would come and ask me because I wrote the rap.
Right.
So he came and asked me, did I get that right? That part right, yeah.
He had to write down your words.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a good way to remember the words.
It is.
So look, I could talk to your life story for hours. We don't have hours here. So I teased you as saying the guy singularly responsible for SpongeBob SquarePants. So obviously years after you're a cue card guy at Saturday Night Live, at some point you become a big executive and now you're running Spike Network, right?
Yeah.
I want you to walk us through the day when some guy comes into your office, which I'm sure happened many days, and has a pitch for you, and this pitch happens to be for a cartoon. Go.
Okay. So it was Nickelodeon, right?
Right, before Spike.
Before Spike, I was in Nickelodeon. I was the head of development. And so Steve Hillenburg, who created SpongeBob SquarePants, he was originally a storyboard artist in our studio, in our animation studio. And we loved him. And there was a show called Rocco's Modern Life that was produced by somebody else, Joe Murray. But it had a rough start. And Joe was like really talented guy and a great artist, but he wasn't a great showrunner. So we had Steve, who we really believed in, and we gave him the job of helping in the second season run Rocco's Modern Life, and he did a great job, but it was just too late. Like the audience had not, once they're out, and they didn't come back. But we loved Steve, so we said, like, here's some money. We want you to create a pilot for us. Write the script, and he did. And it was originally called SpongeBoy.
SpongeBoy.
And we couldn't clear it, right? So SpongeBoy didn't clear. Somebody
owned SpongeBoy.
You never know who owns stuff.
Yeah, you never know, right?
Have you experienced that?
Yes. A million times, right?
A lot.
Like you create something, you created it, like you didn't take it from anyone.
You can ask Fabe. I call Fabe a lot when I just think of something. Fabe, see if this trademark. If not, get a trademark here. And it's trademarked.
Really?
Like what brand is it?
Well, you shouldn't have tried to trademark the Carton show. First mistake. That happens frequently.
Yes, it does.
So SpongeBoy didn't clear. They came back and he said, I have another title. And I love the title. And I said, okay, what is it? He was sitting in the office with my development guy and me. And he said, okay, SpongeBoy Ahoy. And
SpongeBoy Ahoy.
And I just jokingly looked at him because I didn't like the title. And I said, yeah, get out of my office. Come back with something else.
Yeah.
It kind of scared Steve. So a week later, the development executive calls me. He goes, "We have a new title. I think you're going to like it." And I was like, "Okay, go." And where's Steve? And he goes, "Hey, he's a little afraid of you now." I was just joking.
But had you seen an episode, like a
No,
pilot?
no. This was
just
when we were writing
concept.
the script. This was concept.
Okay.
And Robert Scull, who was the development guy, said, we think SpongeBob SquarePants. And I kind of thought about it for a second. And he goes, because he's a sponge named Bob. And I was like, I get it. And he has square pants. And he's like, what do you think? I was like, I love it. And I did. I thought it was hilarious. On first, I was like, I'm in. And then I went around to my boss and everybody else and all the people that had to weigh in on the decision. And nobody liked it. And we did it anyway. So it was
Was your career on the line? If
I wouldn't say my
SpongeBob
career
doesn't
was
work?
on the line, but it was a big bet. And you know, people loved Steve and had a lot of faith in his
Was
creative
he the
ability.
voice?
So here's the thing. So then we wrote the script, and then we loved the script, and he said, "I want to come in and pitch it." And he came into our conference room with an aquarium, and in the aquarium were all the characters. There was SpongeBob. There were all the characters were in there, and he did all the voices. And he did the entire thing, and it was unbelievable. And my boss, Albie Hecht, and I were sitting there, and we just did everything we could not to laugh because we just didn't want to give it up. Because that's what development people who are assholes do, right? We just didn't want to give it up. And when it was over and he was done, we said, "Excuse us for a second," and we walked out of the conference room and just burst into laughter. We loved it. And we walked back in, and we were like, "Steve, let's make the pilot." And he was like, "Oh my God, I was sure you guys hated it."
But you didn't want to laugh in front of him because you didn't want to pay him?
That's what they do. That's what
It's like when you go to buy a house, right?
You don't want to give it up, you know?
And then like, oh, let me think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that. Oh, man. This poor guy, like he puts his soul into it.
Yeah,
and it is funny.
We screwed with him.
And you're like, what a dick.
I do it to my kids.
I'm just,
Trust me.
all right, so we're going to fund the pilot.
We're going to fund the pilot. He makes the pilot. The pilot is brilliant. It's like 7 of the best minutes of animation you've ever seen.
So the pilot was 7 minutes.
But it was brilliant. And we greenlit the show, and it did nothing. Literally,
So when
the
the
first
SpongeBob
season.
first came out,
First season was like, people liked it, but nobody really watched it. And it was kind of disappointing for us, and we were worried about it, but we were like really behind Steve, and we said like, let's do another season. And in the second season, it just broke loose.
any reason for that?
I think the audience just needed to catch up. I think they needed to see a few episodes and then, make their decision about whether they liked it, they cared about it, they loved the characters.
Which I assume I'm sure music's the same. It's kind of rare. Like if you don't hit in year 1, most networks probably say, all right, move on to the next pilot.
Yeah.
But music's probably similar, right?
Not today.
So you have more.
Back then it was definitely that. Yeah, if this isn't, you put a single out, that single doesn't work. If you have the opportunity to have a record label that say, okay, we can move on, and they're going to put some money behind it and go to another song or whatever. Other than that, but today, people put their whole album out. They don't even put singles out. They just put the whole album out.
The album's done.
Figure out which one you like. Whatever song they see is gaining the most streams or whatever.
That's got to be frustrating as an artist, right?
Nah, I mean, because I've been doing it for so long, I'm old too. Because I've been doing it for so long, I love to adapt. I love the changes. Yeah.
You do.
Because it's a challenge for me. So.
Right. And obviously you have adapted.
Challenge myself,
your music's changed, you've changed. That's natural.
I try.
So year 2, it becomes a big hit.
Becomes a big hit. And guess what? In year 3, the merchandise comes out and it sells $4.2 billion.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
$4.2 billion worth of merchandise.
In a year?
In the third year.
Alone, just the third year?
$4.2 billion. And guess what? Everybody liked the title then.
I'm assuming
Suddenly it was the best title that was ever in show
I'm going to make the
business.
assumption poor Steve did not have a great deal by year 3.
Well, I'll tell you a story about Steve. So Steve, Steve did not have a good deal. It was one of those deals that was, like it was all in the back end, and he was never going to see any of that money. And the way those deals were written, you were never going to see any of that money. Steve didn't care that much, to be honest. But when we knew that the story was going to break in the Wall Street Journal, that he was going to make over $4 billion, I said to Albie, I said, we need to do something for him, because the way his deal is written, he's going to read that and he's going to quit. And I would too, because he's not going to see any of that money.
So I assume he's making
He was
Millions?
he was probably making close to $1 million a season.
So
right?
let's just get this. Let's just
Maybe.
reset here.
And by the way, maybe not even that much.
The creator, let's just say $1 million. It's an easy number.
Yeah.
Made $1 million a year. The network made $4.2 billion.
That's right.
That just doesn't seem right, Kevin.
So I wasn't
It's
right.
called business.
So I
Let's go
went
on.
to Albie and I said, we got to do something for him. Like,
Okay.
we need to do something for him because he's going to read that story in the Wall Street Journal and he's going to quit. And I would too if I were him. And so we took him out to dinner. We went up to Viacom's heads and we said, we got to do something for him. They all said, no, the deal is the deal. The way it's written is the way, is the way it goes. And he signed the deal and that's that. And we said, well, he's going to quit and then you don't have a show.
Right.
And you're not going to make another $1 billion on the show. So we convinced them to write him a check. And we took him out to dinner at the Ivy at the Shore here in Santa Monica.
So you and a bunch of executives.
Me and Albie took Steve out to dinner.
So the three of you are at dinner.
We're at dinner.
He doesn't know what the dinner's about.
He thinks we're just, telling him congratulations on a good season.
Okay.
And we say, okay, we want you to know that this story is coming out in the Wall Street Journal. And the show has made over $4 billion licensing and merchandise. He's just sitting across from us, being Steve, just eating, and he's like, wow, that's a lot of money. And we said, but the way your deal is written, you're not going to get any money right away. It's way down the line. But we wanted to make sure that you understand how much we love you and how proud we are of the show.
Stop there for a sec. I've got a number in mind, Wayne.
Your number's going to be higher.
Steve got a dinner.
No. Steve got a check.
All right, so you bring a check.
We brought a check.
And you present the check to him at dinner.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now hold on. What do you think the check is for?
Okay, dessert.
Yeah, you have a nice dinner. Everything's great. By the way, big article. We made $4.2 billion. We want to thank you for your service to Viacom. If you had to guess, what do you think that check was? What do you think that check should have been?
I don't want to guess what I think it was. I don't want to guess at all. Yeah, I don't want to guess.
Let's start small. It's got to be a 7-figure check minimum. Is that a fair guess?
It's a fair check.
Okay.
It's a fair guess.
$4.2 billion. He's making $1 million a year. I mean, please tell me you gave this man $10 million.
No, we couldn't convince Viacom to do that. We gave him $2 million. And by the way, we handed him the check and he goes, do you mind if I look at that? And we said, of course. And he gently opened it up, looked at it, and burst into tears.
I was gonna say that, bro. I was gonna say, you take me to dinner and you speaking about 4.2, and yeah, we can speak about it all day, but you say you got $2 million right now in that check right there in front of me, right there. That's $2 million right there. If I don't have $2 million,
now I do.
oh my God, what? I'm not worried about that 4.what? Yeah, all right, that was awesome. And then you said that was for merchandising, though, right?
Licensing, merchandising.
You can say, I would have looked at it as, well, you didn't say that was from the show.
Got it.
You know
You
what
would
I
have been
mean?
practical about it.
Yeah. Like the license.
Well, that's also based on your 30 years of success. This poor guy is just some dude writing cartoon stuff, and he's just having success for the first time. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Were they tears of joy or tears of?
No, they were.
You gotta be kidding me.
They were tears of joy because, and we didn't really even understand why he was crying, and he was, and he said, Karen, his wife, was just diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh.
And I don't know what's going to happen. And, he had 2 small children. And he's like, so he goes, this makes all the difference in the world for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
that
See?
was, we
call
didn't
that-
know that, but that was, a special moment for him, but even for us.
Is he still alive today?
No,
No, he
Steve.
isn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, it was a horrible.
Does his family get residuals?
I'm sure that they do. I don't know.
Like, do you think
I'm sure that they do.
Are they like a wealthy family?
Oh, yeah.
They are.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
at some point, maybe Viacom didn't make them whole,
Yeah.
but at some point, that back end finally happened.
Yes, absolutely.
So without you, though, we never hear SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Did Viacom give you a check at
No.
dinner at the Ivy?
No, they did
you start
not.
crying?
I got a good bonus that year.
4.2 bill. You must have.
I got a good
Were
bonus,
you
but
like
it wasn't.
you cheap 50 grand's not paying shit? I would have been livid about that,
Okay,
Wayne.
do you want to know? Like, I've never told this story to anybody
Please.
except my wife. This is so crazy, but the bonus structure was such that like you couldn't get more than a 200% bonus, but it was
Of your
based on
salary.
of your salary.
Okay.
But you could get a 200% bonus. That was the maximum. We had a great year at Nickelodeon because of SpongeBob. So we got like 190% bonuses. Everybody in the company got 190%. Everybody was so thankful, and it was great. But Albie, my boss, gave me another additional bonus on top of that. He had the right to do it, but he gave it to me, and so I went over 200%. I went to 215%, and I got a call. I won't say from who, but from one of the senior leaders at Viacom, and they said, you have to give back 15% of your bonus.
Oh,
Because 200 is the limit.
oh.
And did you give it back?
Yeah, I had no choice.
What?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
What? Give it back. Come get it. Right? Put some boxing gloves on. Put it back my ass.
And Tom Preston, who was the CEO at the time, called me, and he actually heard about it and was lovely enough to call me and say, I understand you gave back some of your bonus. That's a big thing. And I'll find a way to make it up to you someday.
I was gonna say, I would have looked at it as they're testing me, and they're trying to see what decision I would make, and I would try my best to make the right decision.
As a company guy, like,
Mhm.
you can count on me, you can trust me.
Yeah.
And then the thought is they'll do right by me at Christmas.
You make the right decision. I would imagine it was testing me to probably put me into a higher position and think, yeah, we can trust this guy.
Right. Did that happen?
I did okay.
See?
Your next biggest hit is Yellowstone. Spike becomes Paramount. Let me just back up for 1 second. When you guys created Spike, a network for men, we're going to have fighting and girls and action movies, right?
Mhm.
I recall within the first few months of Spike being announced that Spike Lee sued you guys
No.
saying that you took his name and you had to pay him. Correct?
Okay. Yes. Spike Lee sued us.
I thought he was being Craig.
See?
No, that's a true story. That actually
Wow.
happened. So here's the story. So we, when we're trying to name the network, came up with a bunch of names. They were all rejected by the lawyers. They said, so-and-so sue you. I said, because I worked for Letterman, I wanted to name it Dave TV. And they said, no, Dave will sue you. And I said, no, Dave's not going to sue me. He likes me. But no, he'll sue the company. Dave's out. A whole bunch of names. No, they'll sue you. We said Spike and we thought Spike, and the lawyers came back and they said, yeah, that's no problem. So we're having Tanya Lee, Spike's wife, actually worked for Nickelodeon at the time. She was a freelance producer, and she was doing spots and stuff for us. We're having lunch. Albie and I are having lunch at a restaurant nearby, and as we're walking out, Tanya turns to us and she says, "Oh, you guys have a big problem." And we're like, "What's the problem?" And she goes, "Well, Spike is really unhappy that you stole his name." And he runs out. He's out. He's gone. He's getting a cab, right? Or getting in a car or something. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, you'll be getting a letter from Johnny Cochran. And sure enough, the next day, a letter arrives on Golden Boss stationery. Johnny Cochran's name is so big. It's it's Johnny Cochran, right? And on the bottom, there's a thing that Spike is suing you for misappropriating his name and blah, blah, blah. And yeah. And
But it's not called Spike Lee TV.
Correct.
I wish you'd been there.
Am I?
I'm with you. I'm with you. Tell me you didn't write him a check.
No,
Okay, so we go to court. He's represented by Johnny Cochran. We're in downtown New York in some court building. Every day the judge comes out that we're in court, and he looks around the room and he sees the Viacom lawyers, and they're a bunch of faceless, nameless guys, right? Corporate guys. And then he looks over and he sees Johnny Cochran, and he's like, "Good morning, Johnny." And I'm like, we are so
far. I was about to say, I'm like, oh my God.
We are so right? We get to the point that somebody's got to testify to the damages that we claim that we took because we had to take all the name down and change everything. And it was $38 million was what we said. And Albie says to me, well, the head of marketing is a young guy. He doesn't want to testify, so you're going to have to do it. And I was like, I'm going to be cross-examined by Johnny Cochran. I was like, I don't think so. But I did. And so, and I actually, we went
This wasn't just thrown out of court right away?
Exactly.
I'm with Wayne. It wasn't Spike Lee TV. He'd have a claim if it was.
There was Spike the dog. There was Spike
I swear to
everything.
God, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, what about Spike the dog? That was like one of my favorite characters. I had the T-shirt.
We had a producer who worked for us
sued
named
him
Spike
also.
Jones. Spike Jones didn't sue us. He testified for us. But yeah, so we actually ended up settling with him, and it was
Settling. Oh my.
but it was really like a tiny little settlement. Like he had a pilot at Showtime, a pilot script, and they agreed to make the pilot. And because he would have, but Johnny Cochran,
Look up every company that has Wayne.
By the way, your lawyer's going to be busy for a long time, but check. That is bad crazy.
it was bad crazy.
Yeah. So he got a pilot greenlit,
He got a pilot,
and no one had to
Greenlit.
write a check.
No,
So I guess it was smart that he sued you. I guess.
yes, I don't
Right?
know. I don't. All I know is I was
It
terrified.
was risky.
I was terrified to be cross-examined. And we ended up hiring David Boyce, who was the guy that did the Florida election, the George Bush, Al Gore election.
The hanging Chad thing, whatever it was.
Yeah. Because I said, like, we're going to lose unless we have a lawyer that the judge, like, actually knows.
Knows, exactly, yeah.
So when David Boyce, who, came in from, like, making peace in Yugoslavia or something, he came in, got off the plane in his black suit and sneakers, and he didn't even sit with the lawyers at the table, stood in the back of the court, and the judge came in, and Johnny was standing in the front, and he looked, and he said, "Good morning, Johnny," and then he looked around, and he was like, "Oh," and you could tell, and he was like, "Hey, David," and everything changed.
Change the game for you.
Changed the game.
So, all right. So he sues you. That whole thing gets settled. You guys, one of the biggest things you did at the time was Greenlight UFC fighting on Spike Network, which I know you're back in the fight game. I'm going to get to that in a second. There are people that tell the story, and Dana White's one of them because he still loves you.
Yeah.
Didn't love Philippe Dumont all that much. Philippe Dumont, this Jersey guy pretended he was French and f***ed the whole deal up. But anyway, that's a story for another day. But you do deserve some level of credit that if Spike TV doesn't put UFC on its network, maybe UFC doesn't become the juggernaut it becomes. Is that a fair statement?
I think Lorenzo Fertitta has said that if Spike TV hadn't happened, because they had been all over town pitching UFC and nobody was buying it. And we were kind of like, look, we were a little cable network. We weren't a broadcast network or anything like that, but we were the network for men. So they came to us and we had a good meeting. But Lorenzo said, at that point that if we hadn't done it, they would have sold it. They would have closed up shop. So it never would have happened. And, the truth is they came in and they said they wanted to put fights on Spike. And I was like, I can't do that because, it's a steel cage and there's blood all over the canvas. And there's no way I'm going to Budweiser or Miller and they're going to put their logo on with that bloody canvas. Like,
Less blood, Dana. Less blood.
in a steel cage and nobody understood like what was actually going on, like that it was discipline and athleticism and all the things that's great about it. And they came in and Dana was like pounding on my desk and screaming about like, we got to put fights on Spike TV. And I was like, we can't do that. Like John McCain called it human cockfighting.
Right.
We can't do that because I can't get any advertisers. I said, if you guys would just like think about, is there another way in? And they, to their credit, they came back like a couple of months later and said, we have this reality show, The Ultimate Fighter.
Wow.
And they
That was their idea, not your idea.
It was not my idea, but they had hired Craig Pelagian, who was a producer that was on Survivor for a bunch of years. And it was actually Craig and Dana came up with that idea. And that's,
Do you think Ultimate Fighter is responsible for you ultimately then greenlighting putting fights on?
Oh, yeah. The first season of The Ultimate Fighter was Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner.
Yes.
That fight was everything. I mean, that's the fight that saved the sport, in my opinion, right?
He's
He's a huge UFC fan.
Yeah. If I were still living off of that, man. Something like just off of that alone.
That one fight. Yeah, changed lives.
It changed everything.
Yeah.
And then, off and running. And
Was that the moment when you realized we have a hit on our hands?
unquestionably. I mean, we had put it behind the because we had Raw on the WWE. So, and Vince, had till 11:08. Like it was 9 to 11:08. He had those 8 minutes. And so when Lorenzo came in, I said, we don't have any money to do this. That was the other problem. The budget was already spent for the next year. I said, we don't have any money. He said, I'll pay for it. And they put up $10 million to make 10 episodes of The Ultimate Fighter. And that was how it all started. And, if it hadn't happened, they would have closed up the shop. And we
imagine
wouldn't
that?
be looking at MMA today, I don't think.
It's been sold twice. It's like a multi-billion-dollar entity.
What?
Yeah.
And if they don't create a reality show, we never know about half the guys that we all love watching fight.
Yeah.
Crazy. So I'm gonna get back to the fighting because I know you're back in the
Yeah,
fight game. I'm gonna go back to it in a second. But obviously, Spike winds up becoming Paramount, famously. So
Yes.
the Spike thing ran its course. And then someone walks into your office one day and says, I've got a show about cowboys.
Well, so Bob Backish walked in my office, who was the CEO of Viacom at the time, and said, I need to change one of these networks into a scripted network. And he's like, one of yours. And I was running Spike, CMT, and TV Land. So I said, oh, TV Land. And he said, no, there's not enough distribution, TV Land. It's not in HD with that
And
type
TV
of
Land
work.
at the time was just showing old, sitcoms.
Yeah, and they
shows,
had a
right?
couple of shows, but like, it was mostly old sitcoms. He said, no. And I said, oh, okay, well, CMT. He goes, CMT is too small. And I think there's something there. I like the country music, so I don't want to. I was like, oh, really, Spike then? And he's like, yeah, let's change Spike to Paramount now. Well,
But Spike was your baby.
Spike was my baby. And he said, let's change it to Paramount TV. And I was like, okay. And I said, well, what would it be? And he goes, well, I want to do scripted. And don't you want to do scripted? And I was like, yeah, I want to do scripted. I've always wanted to do scripted. And we had done like a little, like Blue Mountain State was like a scripted show that we did that was like.
I was actually on that once.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
I love Blue Mountain State.
Best episode of all time, they claim.
Of course.
I'm not the guy.
No.
Just many people say it was the episode with the missing badger. And the guy that came into, he was on my radio show, became Reacher, Jack Reacher. That dude is all jacked. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Alan Richson.
Alan, so he was a contestant on American Idol, and he was like the dumb jock in Blue Mountain State. And now he's Jack
What
Reacher.
did he do on American Idol?
He sang for Paul Abdul and tried to hook up with her.
He could really sing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not great. Like, I don't think he got past the auditions, but, and he like sat on Paul Abdul's lap.
Yeah.
Stories are that, but never mind. I don't want to start rumors here.
Now
So
he's a huge star.
He's
He's on
huge
everything.
star. He's also Jack. You
He's
saw the
Jack.
video a couple months ago
Yeah.
when he got in the fight with his neighbor. He was riding like motorcycles with his kids, and the neighbor's like, "Get those bikes out of my neighborhood!"
Exactly, yeah.
And he's like, "Pop."
That's the
What'd
guy
you have to
talking about?
say?
That's the guy you talking about?
That's the guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
He could sing?
not great.
So we did that show, but then it was like, I wanted to do scripted, and Bob said, we're going to do 6 scripted series.
Okay.
Like, and I said, great. So, we started thinking about that. And, I know we're not supposed to say Harvey Weinstein's name, but, I'd done a lot of business with Harvey and the Weinstein Company. I bought a lot of movies from them over the years and stuff. And we did some documentaries together. And I said to Harvey, like, look, I got this, I'm going to do scripted and I need something big. And what do you got? And he started pitching me with Helen Mirren. And I was like, yeah, no. Like, I think she's an amazing actress, but this is Spike becoming Paramount Network. I can't
Can't
do
have a Golden
Helen
Girl.
Mirren.
Golden
So,
Girl.
what do you got? And he said, well, I got this script. It's at Prime, at Amazon, and it's by this guy, Taylor Sheridan. I love him. I think you might like it. I can see if I can get it out of there. And I said, well, can I read the script? And it was me and Keith Cox, who was the head of development. And can I read the script? And we went home that night. We got the script a couple of days later. Harvey did his magic and got it out of Amazon. And we read it and we were like, this is it.
Was Kevin Costner attached to it?
No,
yet? He was not.
And Taylor wanted Jeff Bridges.
For the Costner role.
Yeah, for the Costner role. Because he had worked with Jeff on Hell or High Water, and he really liked him, and he thought he would be great. And I was kind of like, listen, he's a great actor, but I'm thinking about the marketing, and I'm thinking about the poster, and I'm thinking about who is going to be on a horse with a cowboy hat. And I'm not seeing Jeff Bridges. Like, I could see Jeff Bridges, but then suddenly I was like, what about Costner? Can we get Costner? And we did get him, and
What was that process like?
It was painful because Kevin Costner doesn't like to do TV. Apparently, he's a movie actor.
Yeah.
And he had done the Hatfields and McCoys, and he had a really bad experience. It was on A&E.
Okay.
And he did not have a good experience. I think it was a low budget thing, and he didn't have a great time. And he really did not want to do TV again. But I think he read the script and like something about it appealed to him. And he said yes.
When you get pitched on a script, is it episode 1 and that's all you get?
And in that case, mostly you don't even get that. You get a treatment for what the series is. Well, it'll tell you a little bit about episode 1, usually a lot more about episode 1, and it'll tell you like what the next episodes are, like
Right.
synopsises. In this case, being Taylor, had written the script when because he was on, what was the show? Sons of Anarchy. He played the sheriff's assistant, right? The deputy sheriff.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of time to spend, off the set in his trailer. So he had written that script and Mayor of Kingstown. And so we got to read the script, which is unusual. And it was the first hour, and
That's
it was
when he wrote it.
Yeah, he wrote it in the trailer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so the biggest show of the last decade.
Yeah.
He wrote in his trailer
He wrote in the
while he was
trailer.
doing
Wow.
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Where's the weirdest place you wrote a song? Like, it's not always in the studio, I imagine, right?
No, I don't.
You don't write anymore, right?
Yeah, but I'm a scenery. The scenery matters to me. So snowy mountains, the mountains with that snow, because I'm from New Orleans.
Right.
I've never seen it. I thought it didn't exist in reality.
Really?
It's like I didn't think those buildings were that big in New York till I got there. So my scenery is the snowy mountain peaks.
That motivates you?
Yeah.
Like creatively?
It makes my mind go to places where it's not just the norm.
Really? That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So like you go to like Lake Tahoe. I'm making up a place,
But I
but
go to Colorado a lot. I just go by I go by Unc.
you see Dion.
Yeah. Yeah, I just go out there.
And you'll hang out there, and for whatever reason, the snowy mountains.
Spend about 2 weeks in a nice hotel with a great view. Yeah, and just record.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never knew that about you.
Yeah.
And that puts you in the right mindset.
I just love where my mind goes when I'm there because you don't think about my mind don't go to the cliche.
Right.
Because I'm not seeing what I'm used to seeing.
Right. Totally out of your experience in life growing up.
Exactly.
You never saw snow or mountains like that.
Exactly.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's the biggest hit you did based on the snowy mountains?
I've written whole albums there.
In 2 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm gonna get back to Kevin in a second. If you had to take a wild guess, how many songs do you have that you have not released?
Oh man, that would be in the millions. Great.
I'm sorry?
It would be in the millions.
In the millions?
Yes.
It's like Prince.
I have Prince. I have a lot of unreleased Prince music too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a gift from Fabe. Yeah, it was a gift, like his catalog with a bunch
Of
of
unreleased Prince songs.
Yeah.
Oh, you have
Wow.
to have me over one day to have a listening party for
Yeah,
that.
Fabe engineered.
He's never invited me over.
Fabe worked with Prince and Mike.
And Michael?
Fabe did. Yeah.
We're going to talk after this. Sorry, Kevin. It's
That's
family
okay.
business here. I'm learning things I don't
I'm
want to learn
loving it.
today. Yeah. All right. So the Greenlight Yellowstone,
Greenlight Yellowstone.
it's a hit from jump.
A few episodes in, it's pretty clear it's going to be a hit.
And then as the story goes, you're not there much longer after Yellowstone gets released, right?
Yeah.
Pardon me for asking, were you fired?
You could say that.
Okay, I'm going to say it. So
I was
get
let go. I like to think of it as,
Better.
it was time, really, to be honest.
But you just gave them their biggest hit of all time. One of the biggest hits in television history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does anyone ever call you and say, hey, we messed up? You want to come back? Too much ego.
Yeah.
Is there any level of you where you're like, I hope Yellowstone fails?
No.
No.
No. I'm happy for them, and I'm happy for Taylor. Taylor's an incredibly talented guy. He's unbelievably prolific. He is also unbelievably difficult, but that comes with the territory in a lot of cases.
That
right?
level of genius is hard to manage.
He knows what he wants, and he doesn't want to hear anything from anybody. And it was like fun to try to communicate with him for a while. But I have nothing but respect for him and that team that put that show together. And I love the show. I think the show is great.
Yeah.
And
In your career, was there a show you ever passed on that became a big hit that you're like, damn, I wish I didn't pass on it?
I don't. Not that I remember.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Nickelodeon, and I wasn't part of this decision, passed on Harry Potter.
Excuse me?
Wow. Yeah. I did. Because they felt
And you got fired?
Well, so did the guy that passed on Harry Potter. But they just thought it wasn't a brand fit. It wasn't, we don't do those kinds of like fantasy type of things, And, they regretted it.
Yeah, I would say so. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Let me come back to the fight game.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have a new project. You had great success with UFC on Spike.
Mm-hmm.
You guys then pivoted as a company and bought Bellator,
Right.
which was not as successful as UFC, but in its own right, created a bunch of guys that
And a lot
went
of
to the
people that
UFC
came from there. Yeah.
and had great success.
Yeah.
I think Michael Chandler was the first star, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I also remember you coming to me about 15 episodes into MMA Uncensored Live, and you said, you can't talk about UFC anymore.
Well,
And I
okay.
go, Kevin, it's like telling the guy hosting NFL today, you can't talk about the NFL. And we had a battle, and we had a compromise. I know I remember this. Our compromise, because we were a hit. We're about maybe 500,000, 600,000 viewers, which at that time was the biggest MMA show of all time. And I was not an MMA expert by a long shot, but Dana liked me. Spike liked me because we had a holding deal for a couple of years. And he comes to me, he's like, I'm not putting any more money in that ass pocket because Philippe Dumont was an ass and kind of screwed the punch up for the relationship between Viacom and UFC. So the deal Kevin and I made was that I could talk about fights that happened last weekend, but I couldn't promote the fights that were happening in 48 hours.
Right.
So I looked at him and I said, so this show's over? He goes, yeah, pretty much.
Well, but just to be clear,
Yeah.
that was not my decision.
I know. I'm well aware.
I was told by Philippe Dumont, who had a grudge against the UFC for leaving, and because he couldn't get along with Dana or Lorenzo or Frank, that we could not anymore promote their pay-per-views. And,
Right.
And so I was the messenger. I didn't agree with it, but I had no choice. It was my boss.
It was the best compromise I could have gotten.
It was a good compromise.
Yes. You guys going to Bellator. We know how that story ends. And now all these years later, you're back.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're doing now.
So Scott Coker, who ran Strikeforce,
Right.
And had a really successful run there, built a lot of stars, including Rhonda and Gina and Frank Shamrock, and the list goes on and on. Alistair Overeem. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I thought was the most fighter-friendly organization. If you look back at it, Strikeforce actually 50% of their revenue went to the fighters.
Really?
And that is an extraordinary number. I don't know what the UFC is, but I can guarantee you it's not 50%.
It's not 50%. That's
far,
the big gripe the
it's
fighters
far
have.
from it, right?
Yeah, it is.
So
Yeah.
Scott has always, he's an 8th degree Taekwondo black belt.
Mhm.
is that right?
His motto is always fighters first. That's what he cares about. And I have a lot of respect for him. I loved working with him. And, he, after Bellator, I convinced him to come to Bellator. He didn't really want to do it. It was like a conversation that he was like, I don't even understand. Like, I'm a promoter. I own my own business. I own Strikeforce. I sold it. I didn't want to sell it. It just, Showtime wasn't going to pick it up again. So the partners decided they needed to sell it. He made a lot of money. I said, come to Bellator. I need you. I didn't like the guy that was running it before that.
Likewise.
And we
Some
got rid of
Swedish
him.
prick, Bjorn something or
Bjorn
other.
and me. And so Scott came and we had an amazing time working together. So cut to, Bellator, nobody knows what to do with it. It gets sold to the PFL. Scott had left and, he played golf for a couple of years. And then, he called me one day and he said, I'm going to get back into business and, start another fight promotion. And I thought yeah. And he's like, would you come on as an advisor? And I was like, yeah, I would definitely help any way that I can. And Wade Davis, who was the CFO of Viacom and also went on to be the CEO of Univision, also came on as an advisor. Steve Moscow, who's the president of Sony TV, came on as an advisor.
Good people.
So really good people. And, along the way, as Scott and I continued to talk about it, he said, would you like to come work on this? Like, not just as an advisor, but actually work with me on this. And I said, what's the role? And, we sort of decided chief content officer would be a good role for me because I love to tell stories and I love fighting. And I think that the fighters are underserved. And, if you look at the UFC, it's like, I really actually think that at this point, the fighters are not the most important thing. They're just there, right?
There.
They're just there. And because pay-per-view went away and it needed to go away because it was a business that wasn't really viable anymore. But you've kind of lost the thread of the story because there was always this huge marketing around each pay-per-view. And there were only 10 or 12 pay-per-views per year. And you knew what was coming and you were excited about it. Well, that's all gone now. They're owned by, Paramount.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it's just one steady flow. And the only promotion for fights starts at the weigh-ins now where, these guys fake fights. They face off and they push and they shove. And then, that's kind of where the promotion starts. And I don't know. I watched the Sean Strickland Chimaev fight, and Sean Strickland, who was like, "I'm gonna kill that motherfucker. He's gonna die in the cage," and I hate his guts and blah 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 blah. And then they fight. He wins the fight.
And right after
right after he takes the mic and he goes, "I'm so sorry. I was just promoting a fight."
A fight, yes.
I was like, I feel lied to. I feel deceived. It's not the way I want to be. And I think this. So this is really respectful and truthful to the MMA spirit. I think that Coker has that. I love telling stories. I think telling stories about fighters and kind of building up them and into the stars that they are, and the discipline and the honor that goes in the sport is like exciting for me.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with it.
So thank you.
You seem reinvigorated by it.
I am reinvigorated by it. I'm very excited.
Have you ever fought?
No.
You don't look like
When I fight.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of people like fighting. I'm just wondering if you ever got in a fight. You ever punched Philippe Dumont in the face?
I would like to have.
We could probably set that up.
You'd have to find them first.
Yeah. I know he's on France. I know that much. Well, look, it's great seeing you.
So great to see you,
Thank you for giving me the opportunity you gave me all those years ago. I've never forgotten that because you believed in me before a lot of people did from a TV sense. And we want to thank you guys. Wayne, do you have anything else you want to say?
This guy is awesome.
You liked it, right?
I learned a lot today.
Thank you. You are. I am a huge fan, and you are unbelievably talented.
I appreciate
wonderful.
That. Thank you.
So thank you for everything. You've made a huge difference in so many people's lives, and
thank you.
Mine included. Him and not so much.
I think the first event you guys have, perhaps you guys write a big check and ask Wayne to perform. That might be something that would work. That would work. Kevin K, everybody. Lil Wayne, Craig Carton. This is the Joint Venture Show. We have much more coming your way throughout the year. And thank you so much for watching another episode of the Joint Venture.